welcome back to Radio City India. And today we have a very special interaction with two very special people who actually, personally, I have a very fond liking for them. One comes from a amazing model background, somebody who is actually a change maker in her own field and beyond. And another one is a flag bearer of amazing folk music, of original songs, and a shapeshifter of the indie industry, if I dare say so. Please
Awesome.
welcome Pia Trivedi and Aabha Hanjura in the house. And today we are here for Women's Day special. Hi, two lovely women. How are you?
Hello.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to be on this with Pia. I really love her work.
Woman power. I'm already loving it and it's not even begun.
I
Hi,
know, right?
Abha. Good to see you
Hello,
here.
hello, Pia. Hello.
You know what's interesting over here is that while I was speaking about doing this conversation with my colleagues and everything, and how do we put this together, everybody gave me this idea about just one thing: what women want. I think there are shows done on it, there are books written on it, and there are podcasts done on it, and there are n number of videos, and I could go on and on about it. But have you noticed that we are very seldom asked what we don't want, or we this has been very less spoken about, that what women don't want, or what women uh, what we should how we should ask that, okay, I know you want this, but I don't know what do you don't want, or what do you don't like. So this is a theme that we're going to actually revolve our conversation about. And my first question to you that I would like to throw open is, have you ever you know been asked what you don't want?
No, not that I can think of. It's always maybe I would say that, listen, this is not what I want. Or
Mhm.
maybe I think it and not even voice it, you know.
Right.
Um, but no, yeah, no one's really asked me what I don't want. What about
Uh-huh.
you, Abha?
Yeah, absolutely same. No one's asked me what I don't want. I've got to always figure that out on my own. I guess everybody does in their own way.
Yeah, like, I started working really young at the age of 15, and I wasn't given a choice or asked whether I'm ready to work, or is this what I really want to do. I mean, honestly, I was driven by my passion as well. So I really wanted to do it, but there was never a point where anybody like stopped to think, or even I stopped to think for myself that, is this what I really want, or is this what I don't want right now? You kind of just, I think, as women and really strong feminine forces and energies, I feel like because we can really multitask, and I really feel like women can do far better than men. No offense to men. I'm fully about manpower and masculine energy, and everything has its right place. Um, but yeah, I feel like women can do lots more. So the opportunity of uh, asking whether you can do this or not, and just knowing that we can multitask really well, I don't think this question ever really arises.
Actually, for a lot of women, it just becomes a lot of women, they live their lives in a certain pattern, where they feel like now I've done this, so now I should do this. Like, for example, I've, I've studied, now I should work, or now I've gotten married, so I should have a kid. But is it something that you want, or is marriage also something that you really want? Is the question that
Correct.
a lot of women need to ask themselves, and shouldn't be a society thing. I say that only marry for love, otherwise never do, because it's such a
Absolutely.
hard relationship to keep at. And I married my high school sweetheart, someone I've been in love with for so many years, and still it's a lot of work. It's not like it's not like that wedding pre-wedding film and that whole pre-wedding people have this idea of what that's the dream that is sold to women. So they just start believing that that beautiful lehenga is what the wedding is, or that beautiful pre-wedding shoot is what. But do you want to get married? Do you really want this person as your 24 bar 7 companion, someone who's in your face all the time and whose face you are in all the time? Do you want this? And then do you really want to bring another life to this universe? These don't have to be like it's these are questions that you should ask yourself, and women should not do things that they think they should do because it's supposed to be the time, like you're this old, so now let's have a child. You're this old, so let's get married. You're this old, so then let's have this career. Or you're too old to now start something new, or you can't power your way through at this stage of your life. None of those things are true, according to me. It's your own journey. I mean, you can really ask yourself, don't get told what you should want in your life, I guess.
I think I totally agree with Aabha. She touched on a very good subject about marriage and raising a family. You
Yeah.
know, me personally, I don't want to have children, and I've been very happily married for 10 years. But in my first 5 6 years, I was really pressurized by everything around me and everyone around me to consider having a child.
Yeah.
But actually, internally, I don't want to have one. So she really touched upon something really, I think, very important in today's day and age, where you have to really ask yourself, what do you want? Are you doing this for someone else, or are you doing this for you? And it's very difficult to break away from society norms and say that I don't want to do this because I don't want to do this. It doesn't make me happy,
Sure.
Yeah. So
and to stand your ground. So yeah, I mean, Abba, that was brilliant.
yeah, sure, Priya. I mean, Appy, I agree with you because I know so many people because I'm a mom, I have a
Yeah,
2-year-old, but for a very long time, I thought that I don't want children, but I was never very sure of this. So it was like I was on the spectrum, is what you
yes,
would say. And then there was this one phase time in my life when I was very sure. So it was entirely and completely my decision.
correct.
Therefore, as it disrupted my life because I'm an artist, I'm a performing artist, I'm supposed to be on stage, and this is 1 9 month of long, but it happened in COVID, and that's what I was in a way, timing was right that way. But the decision, I knew that it would like having you give birth to a new person, or you are bringing a new life into this universe, and it's entirely your responsibility. That's huge, right? And then someone like
Yeah,
me, whose career is a baby. Like I used to always tell people when I say, "Nahi, yeah, my music is my baby. That's what this is too much that this needs nurturing. Where will I nurture someone else?" So I didn't feel that I was ready, and I feel like if for a long time, if I would have still not been in that position in that place in my head when I thought that I will take this on, no one should ever force anybody because listen, this changes your body, changes your life, changes your mind, changes you spiritually, physically, mentally in a very different level. Of course, it's the greatest joy in the universe. Of course, that's nobody's discounting that. That's a huge change. And this should never be forced on women. It needs to be their own agency. They should say that, yes, dude, I'll do this because I want to. And if someone is very clear that they don't want to, I think they are doing the universe and themselves the greatest, what do you say? They're doing themselves and the universe the greatest favor by not being parents who are not sure whether they want to be or not.
Right.
absolutely, because you're not doing justice to anyone.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah. I'm
You're
saddened with
you have a
society.
child who's totally dependent on you.
Yeah,
And it's not fair. I mean, the same goes for 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 people who are pushed to do IT and to study to be doctors and to study to be
yeah,
lawyers when actually they feel more promising in creative fields. you
yes,
know I think
Hmm.
if I mean, if I may say, Abha has been able to follow her passion and her creative skills towards folk music, which is great. I have been able to follow fashion and modeling, which is great, which is a very rare thing
Right.
in
yeah,
Hmm.
actually the normal Indian household,
Hmm.
where you do get pushed to finish your studies and go higher
Hmm.
studies and become a doctor, become an engineer, become a lawyer. These
yeah,
are the three things that I mean, every second person is becoming.
Right.
It's
Right.
great. Sure, if
Right.
you can do it, you must, but I feel like you should be allowed to tap into
Correct.
what you believe in.
I love how this conversation is becoming cohesive, and how we're supporting each other. I would like to just ask one very important question, which I feel needs to be discussed a lot. When was the first time, Pia and Abha, you said a no? Because I don't think women are taught or raised or surrounded by other people who teach them that it's okay to say a no. Because when we say a no, we are sort of considered as a rebel, if I may say so, for lack of a better word. But um, when was the first time you said a no and that was respected?
I think it was at a time when I decided to quit my full time corporate job and pursue music as a full time career, and I was really already doing very well for myself. And in like that mid, I come from a middle class family, so
Hmm.
in those terms, everything was set and you're settled, and जो भी माँ बाप ने इतने साल काम किया है तुम्हारे लिए, whatever they have given you education. And I come from the background of the Kashmiri Pandit exodus, so we have lived very difficult lives where we were uprooted. So it was already a big thing that your parents somehow managed to get you educated and put you through college, and then you're just going to throw all that away and say that I'm going to do music full time and this is what my calling is. So that was, but by then I was already, someone with my own agency. It was 24, 25. I knew what I wanted in life, and I took that call on my own, and I think it was respected. When I was about 17, 18, I auditioned for Indian Idol, and I ended up being in one of the finalists at the time back then. But at that time, when I wanted to, firstly, I was also not very sure because the industry was very different and the playback scene was very different. And I really saw myself as more of an indie artist, somebody who will really say her own story through her music. But because I was just a teenager around Idol, I was 17, 18, when that started, when I started work that way. But that at the time I didn't have so much agency to say no, no, now I'll pursue my music. It was also, I don't know if it was a female male thing so much, but it was also the background, coming from this family which is somehow trying to get you through education, and for them they've lost everything, so they feel really scared if you suddenly go and say that I'm going to
Hmm.
pursue something that's absolutely nobody knows where what will happen, and that whole question of safety, which comes with.
Sure.
I also felt, honestly, at the time, to be very honest, the music industry was not a safe space for women at the time. It wasn't, and but because I was a kid and I didn't know how to handle myself, and I was so maybe I also didn't, see myself go through that kind of a journey. And I was like, listen, your art is supposed to definitely empower you in life, and it's supposed to make you feel powerful and not vulnerable. So there were many experiences that changed the course of my life at 17, 18 after Idol. But I think when I was off in my own, when I kind of came into my own and decided to, say no to a corporate job, I guess that's the time where that no was taken seriously by everybody, including, I guess, myself.
So, I was jogging my memory and I said, when was that first no? And um, it's amazing to think back that when I did start working at the age of 15, I didn't want to finish my graduation. I wanted to really, um, I was very passionate about starting modeling, and I was really driven by it. And I have to say, yes, I was supported by my family to say no to higher education and say yes to following my dreams. And I think that was the very first time I felt supported.
And I guess even your decision not to have a child, like you said, that was
I
your.
mean, that has been an ongoing, it comes and goes um,
Okay.
from every direction all the time.
Uh,
Um, so that is much later, of course, that's now. But it's good to think back, and thanks for bringing this to my notice that, it was very in my very initial teenage years where I come from a Gujarati Brahmin family. Okay, so it was must have been very difficult for my parents to, say no, it's fine, don't complete your higher studies and,
Sure.
be driven by your dreams, go for it. So
Yeah.
I respect them for that.
While we are always told, we are always asked actually that whenever we meet somebody and if we have to, just have a conversation with them, people often ask, okay, who all are there in your family? What does your father do? And maybe times may have changed right now, or we are changing it right now, but there are still instances, I would say 8 out of 10, when people would only ask, what does your father do? And your mother's like, very slyly and very easily just sidelined. So
Yeah.
when was the first time you actually started feeling that, okay, no, women are also more than housewives, or women also belong more in, not women don't only belong in kitchen, they belong everywhere, they're here to conquer the world and beyond. So was there an instance you would like to share when you realized that, okay, my mother, my sister, anybody who's very close to you or who's your role model does not only fit in that mold or in that box?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'd have to say it had to be my sister. She was a very big influence in my life.
Sure.
And because of our age gap, I really looked up to her. And she really set the motion in a Gujarati Brahmin family to go totally out of the box and
Hmm.
be a model and, really be out there. So I think she inspired me and made me believe that women can do a lot more than just be housewives.
Right.
I think I would say my mom, she I think is a huge she's been a huge influence in my life, and I've someone who I've really learned a lot from in terms of just observing her life, because she was not present for a long time during my childhood, because firstly she was extremely sick. She had a lot of physical health issues that also I think those are the things that have shaped me today, to be the woman that I am, because I never saw my mom as this mother who's always doting around kids, right? That's this the typical mom image for lots of the kids that were my friends. But my
Sure.
mom was, for the longest time, she kind of almost had a rebirth. But then the great thing about her always has been that she fought her illness, and how, and when she just recovered, she came back and she went back to work, and she literally started from scratch. But by the time she went back to work, and she was working, and she was also handling us at home, and by the time all of that happened, I was already like getting into teenage.
Hmm.
So I never saw my mom as that constant figure in my life who's always around me, but I always saw her as someone who's constantly fighting, coming back stronger, and also working. And while she's working, she's also. So I think that was the thing that got into my head. And now, because as a mom, I also deal with that mom guilt so much when I travel for my shows or I'm working all the time. And I feel like, oh my god, if I'm working, I feel 100x guilty about the fact that, okay, I'm neglecting my child, or what is this is a very natural feeling. It's something that you just can't escape. Mom guilt is very real. And now that I'm a mom, I would be like, god, what she would have gone through. But then I always tell myself that the fact that I am who I am is because of the way I saw my mom work all through her life, and she taught me by being. So I'm also trying to do that in my own way, that my daughter has to eventually grow up to be an independent woman herself, and she has to be someone who's going to take charge of her life, and she won't wait around for someone to sort out her life. She'll be a woman of her own. She'll speak her own mind. So I guess and also she'll fight back when things go wrong, which happens more frequently for us than for others. Like for women, everything is harder. You've got to really, really prove yourself for people to take you seriously, whether it's in a boardroom, whether it's on a stage as a rock star, or whether it's as a model, as an actor. Because everyone's always thinking that, acha, she's a girl, so is she in this for good? Is she in this for a longer haul? People like to make jokes out of the fact that a woman is pregnant or she's gotten married, and then they just want to write you off. Or, the other kinds of mansplaining and the other 100 things that women go through, right, on an everyday basis. This is not going anywhere for a long time, but at the same time, it's getting better. But how does a woman deal with it? By just being someone who's watching a female figure in her life who's taking charge. So, which happened with me, thankfully, with my mom. I think people would say that eventually she left her job and she chose to take a voluntary retirement, and for that also I respect her because it's an agency, right? Like, it's your decision. I think today also I respect so many moms who take a decision that, dude, I don't want to do 100 things at one time. I'll do one thing. I'll raise the child.
True.
It's okay. It's your choice. At least you have the choice. Nobody should force you to say. Nobody needs to tell you that, listen, go do, become Ma Durga and do 100 things. It's very hard. It's tough. It's just, you go crazy. I'm telling you from my own experience. But if that's what keeps you going, for me, that's the mojo. If I'm not doing this all the time, then I'll go crazy. I have to be like this. But that doesn't mean that this is the ideal way of motherhood or the ideal way of a woman. There's no such ideal. Everybody who decides has agency of her own and takes her own calls is perfect. So we shouldn't put these cookie cutter molds that only someone who's a rockstar is the perfect woman, or only someone who's a women have to just have choice, because our lives are more tough than men. Let's just face it, dude, because we are managing 100 roles at a time.
True.
And it's a lot. It's a lot, honestly.
True. You mentioned, Aabha, you mentioned something about, the teenage thing when you saw your mom juggling with 1,000 things. So let's roll you down the memory lane and take you both to your teenage days. That was the time.
Everybody's like, for parents and for kids.
But that was the time when, in our respective teenage phases, that was the time when we were introduced to something called feminism. We were introduced to something called gender equality and everything. Do you remember the first time during your teenage years or during your growing up years, maybe in early 20s or something, when you actually saw somebody mansplaining you, or you saw an incident, or you experienced an incident when somebody tried to pull you down in a way because of your gender?
Oh yeah, so many times, and it happens even today. At the time when I'm already, I don't now need to, you know, ascertain who I am in a room, but it still happens. It's
Right.
something that's not going anywhere, and there have been just so many instances. I mean, I just don't know how to point out to one, but like, someone will just talk down to you because of the fact that they assume that you don't know. First of all, the mansplaining comes from this conditioning of men from so many years that, listen, I'll explain to you how things work. But you want to tell them that, dude, I've done my homework. I know what I'm talking about. This is when it comes to. So I'm also in the music business as a record label owner. So if I am talking about if I'm talking about the fact that I know my rights as an artist, or I know what I'm doing, so they'll say, why do you have to talk about contracts and everything? Just sign ना. मतलब तुमको उसमें क्यों घुसना है? तुमको काम मिल रहा है, तुम इतने खुश रहो ना उसमें. That's the way they talk to you, or or it just comes in very subtly. I know. I mean, even today, like, if I'm sitting in a room and there are 5 men and you're the only one, while you're trying to while you have very valid inputs in a discussion, when they're looking at you and talking to you, the mansplaining, that tone only comes. That, no, I'll explain to you. But you want to tell them, no, uncle, I know. You sit. That's it.
I love that. I love that answer.
I actually want to have this printed on a t-shirt. No, uncle, I know.
Yeah.
I want to have a t-shirt.
Yeah, dude, it's happened like 100, and so many times they're still talking to your chest and they're not looking at you in your eyes.
Oh my God.
That happens a lot. Like, you're talking to them about something very important and their eyes are just not here. So
there was an incident when I was with a client meeting, and the client was constantly looking like this, and I'm like, no, they don't speak. No, they don't speak.
You told us that.
I did that. Yeah, I did that. Of course, I ended
Yeah.
up losing the
Yeah.
client because of fragile ego, but
The
I had
mouth
to
is
do.
here. The mouth is here. The
Yeah,
conversation.
it's here. I mean, no, they don't talk.
Oh yeah, dude. This never
Pia,
stops.
what would be your one of those
I'm sure she has so many stories. Like,
You
a
know,
face says it,
nothing
right?
she's coming from.
being a model, you can understand. Everyone looks at everything, but I think I'll have to agree with what you said, Shweta. See, I haven't really dealt with the corporate life, so I really don't know how that works. It's a male-dominated, used to be at least a male-dominated industry. It's changing quite rapidly, but I think I'll have to agree. There have been many times, yeah, people are talking to me, men especially, and they're not looking at my face.
Hmm.
Like, honey, what are you looking at? Look up, but and that's not nice.
Right.
I think that is an episode that's happened to me a lot. And
Hmm.
now I just walk off. I'm like, I don't even have the patience to say no to you or correct you. Just
Right.
like walk off because it's very
I think
disrespectful.
that's a very good strategy too. Yeah,
It's
Right.
just
very
walk off.
disrespectful. It feels really like
Just walk out. Yeah.
terrible.
I can only imagine.
I mean,
We
I feel
spoke.
like, men should appreciate beauty and appreciate it well. We will take it also very well. Be
Yeah.
kind,
Sure. Sure.
we,
Yeah.
we, we can accept it. But when you cross the line, which majority of the men do,
Hmm.
it's just, it's terrible.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah.
We've spoken a lot. We've touched upon, the nose part and everything. But do you recall any of those incidents when, somebody, be it a man or a woman, supported you while you were actually struggling to say a no, or while you were struggling to actually uh, convey that, okay, I'm not comfortable with this, and somebody stepped in, actually was your supporting hand, or somebody actually just said that, okay, you know what, if you can't say it, I'm there, just say it, I'll support you. So any incident that you can recall, it could be anybody, your friend, your colleague, your family, anybody.
I mean, no, I think I have done it for a lot of people.
Hmm.
But maybe of late, I do have a lot of women friends who are really solid and who are supporting me when I decide a no.
Hmm.
Uh, but that wasn't the case initially in my life.
Hmm.
I felt like I had to fight my battles on my own.
Abba.
Yeah, I think same. I've been that person for others, but in fact, there are many times that sadly, in very difficult situations where women had to stand up for other women had to stand up for me, that didn't happen, and the women were the ones who kind of let me down in very
Hmm.
terrible ways.
Yeah.
Which is the sad part, right? I guess this is the whole thing of sisterhood that I guess I'm hoping that Women's Day and days like these can genuinely propagate, because women have to lift each other, because it's already very tough for us. And
Yeah.
if we don't help each other, then we're just going to, no one's going to, I mean, the worst it can it be when women are pitted against each other, which the
Hmm.
society does very easily because it's easy to do, it's cheap to do, it's the low ball, right? It's the
Sure.
lowest, it's the below the belt sort of a thing, easy thing to do. But I get this, the same time, there were times when I was expecting women to come around, and that didn't happen. But then that's okay. That's not made me bitter. I've always helped women in my own capacity, because I know what it takes. And I
Do
hope
you
that,
think
see, you
that's
can't carry bitterness around. I guess what only helps is positivity. Keep the
sure?
positivity going. But yeah, these women I'm talking about are also like much older than me, so maybe they didn't have that kind of a sensibility. They kind of grew up in that environment where
Hmm.
they thought it is very cool to for one woman to be mean to another one. That typical
Hmm. Hmm.
Bollywood stories of vampism and
Hmm.
all that. I think it's very yesterday. All of that is done to
Yeah.
death. Today we gotta help. We all, I think, believe in sisterhood, and everybody believes in women have to believe in lifting each other up. And I guess that's what we're doing now, and hopefully that will continue.
Do you think that's incorporating right now, everywhere, be it your respective industries or work cultures, or even in general in the society, that
Definitely
women?
better. It's so much better. It's
Hmm,
definitely a lot better. And there's so many women that I personally look up to in the industry also, and I make it a point to always tell them that I love what they're doing, and that I guess it's about that you gotta just be vocal about your support for other women, and I
hmm,
guess then they show it up because women are naturally the more
hmm.
affectionate gender, the ones filled with more love, with more, gentleness and all of that. I guess that's where I feel it's getting better for sure, 100%. I won't say that it's perfect, but it's definitely getting better now than what it was before.
Yeah, do you agree with Abba on
Yes,
this?
absolutely. It's definitely getting better. And I feel that the more experience you have, the more you really come back to this of supporting each other and understanding that you can only grow in numbers,
Hmm.
you
Right.
know, strength to strength. So, yeah, I totally agree with what Abha is saying.
Right. Wonderful. In your initial years, when you started off with your respective career as a musician, as a model, uh, do you remember any sort of incident or and do you have any memory about looking up to other women back then and thinking that, oh, I want to become like her, or oh, I want to have the strength that she has? Can you name any names in that?
I would say in the music industry, there's so many figures who are amazing women who I look up to a lot. There are artists like Beyonce. I mean, she's such a diva, right? I mean, just look at her. She's especially when she did that act with her full belly on stage. I mean, I just like was so floored. So did someone like Rihanna recently. That was just all over, right? Like you think that
Sure.
a woman gonna have a child and then you just with her as the yesterday, which they like breaking those stereotypes. And how so many powerful female figures in the music industry. I think I feel even in India there are so many. I mean, everybody from Lata ji to Asha ji, they're all Sunidhi, someone I love immensely. I mean, I watched her on stage. I mean, she's fire, like someone who like just puts India on a global level. Like how she's a phenomenal performer. I look up to so many. I mean, I think there are just a lot of brilliant examples all around.
Pia, anybody in the modeling world?
I mean, well, the fashion industry is dominated by women. So, it's more a female industry than a male industry. So yeah, there are. I mean, wow, where do I start? Madhu Sapre, Noinika Chatterjee, Sapna Kumar, Diandra Suarez. I mean, Nina Manuel. These girls really, Meher Jaisia, they really pushed their boundaries in their time to fulfill what they wanted to. And yes, I have looked up to them my whole life, and I still do. Women of courage.
Lovely. So, till now, whatever conversation we've had, uh, what I can feel is that there have been some tough spots where you've had to think a lot about when questions like, when was the first time you said a no, or do you remember people supporting you or something, has took a little while for you to think, answer, and recall those memories. Had it been the other way around, that if you were born in this generation Z, or whatever it is, do you think things would have been a lot different?
100%. And I'm telling you that because I'm also raising a girl. So I know that girls today, they're like fire, dude. They're just so amazing and they don't have a care in the world. And we don't, because this is the thing, right? It's like this generation is raising a new generation. And even before me, like even like kids were like, girls were like 15 years younger, 10 years younger to me. I can feel that, the spring in the step, the air, that their shoulders are light. They're not so bogged down by pressures that we sort of were handed down, and we also be careful. No, no, you're a girl, be careful. You're a girl, no, 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 don't do this. So okay, here you want to do this, but think that you're a girl. Nobody talks to women, these girls these days like that. They're like, okay, you're a girl, you go do the toughest things. Actually, these days, I can also say that with my girl, and I have a niece also, they're like tougher than the boys these days, and they're more tough to handle because they just like so. There's so many. The energy, the feminine energy, is very strong, no? So
Correct.
I think. Hopefully, I'm really praying very hard that that there will not be such a time in their life, and they will have to like think and even talk about these, and maybe Women's Day will be a passe by then. I really think it should, because there shouldn't be such a day to be, suddenly devote to us that okay, now this is your day. Every day is your day. You don't need another day, and hopefully you'll just always feel like an equal on the table, and you'll always feel like an equal in the society, and you'll always have your own choices to make, which you do as an individual and not as per your gender. So if
Right.
that happens, and I think I'm really hopeful of a brighter 20 years from now situation.
Pia?
Yeah, I feel like today's generation is definitely exposed to a lot more. Um, our parents are also in a very liberal position from where we are coming from. So yeah, the women, the tomorrow's women are definitely going to be tougher from a younger age. Um, but let's hope that all goes in the correct direction.
Yeah,
And
true.
like Abha said, that I hope they are allowed to be equal on the table.
Right. So, what's the one thing that you absolutely love about Women's Day and one thing that you absolutely hate about
I don't know if I feel such drastic emotions for the day.
it?
Um, I think women should be celebrated every day. And I'm not just saying this because this is an interview for Women's Day. I really feel that women should be celebrated every day. I don't like the idea of picking a particular day for them.
Right.
I feel even men should be celebrated every day. And I think everyone should be equal in this celebration. But there's nothing that I hate or like. I may hate that it is only on one day. Let's celebrate every day to just be equal and be humans and support each other.
I
Yeah.
really hate the freebies and those 15% discount, 50% discount. They're not, they're not those garibs, bicharis that, ये ले लो 50% discount, ये ले लो free का ये ले लो free का वो, आज तुम्हारा दिन है. It's okay, I can buy myself the same thing at full rate. You don't need to give me one cheap discount because it's Women's Day, and those spammy calls and those 100,000 offers that brands give you. They just so brands have overtaken Women's Day, which is a sad thing. Which shouldn't happen. It should really be more fluid between the sisterhood, the whole community, and
Right.
hopefully there won't be a need for. What I love about it is the fact that it's enabled a lot of sisterhood. It's enabled discussions. It's enabled like, see,
Right.
I'm really so happy with the fact that I got to meet Pia through you guys, and we had such a beautiful conversation, which was very
True.
positive and in the right direction. And these things, they lead to something bigger eventually, which I was telling you, right? I was watching something on Hotstar the other day, this is in America. Just 50 years ago, women didn't have rights to vote, and I was baffled by that. When I actually saw that physically, I was like, just 50 years ago, they couldn't vote. What are you
What?
saying? And this is USA. Yeah, the right to for women to vote equally, it just came about like not even 50 years ago. And some women, and when the feminism was really picking up and when that movement was really gaining momentum,
Right.
is when they really, really fought for it together. So the fact we can't just, we can't say that we have arrived and things are absolutely in the right direction for us now, because just think about it, in the greatest superpowers and one of the biggest, the countries that everybody thinks is the country like USA, women were not even allowed to vote just 50 years back. So
Right.
that's like not so long ago. So we really have a long way to go, and we can't let this slip because patriarchy is deep. It is conditioning that's in our heads, and we have to undo years and years and years of damage. So if this day enables that, that I'm very happy about. But
Right.
no, so many 50% off, 50% off. It's okay.
And I just feel also these days are coming from a very old tradition where maybe times were different.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
Times have changed a lot now. Like I feel like I have more nights out with my girlfriends than I have with our partners and all of us together.
Yeah,
I
Right.
mean, we are celebrating each other much more than it was traditionally when maybe this day was born. So I
yeah,
think times have changed a lot.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Speaking of change, can you point at one stereotype that you think you, like Abha and Pia, have broken in your respective industry?
Man, I mean, as far as women go, I think we've broken a lot of stereotypes. I mean, you have Abha and me sitting here, both
Absolutely.
from two very traditional families, and have made our mark where we needed to. So, I mean, the list is endless, but yeah, Abha, would you like to just elaborate?
What stereotypes? What did you say? What stereotypes have I broken?
In your respective industry, yes.
Uh, I guess the biggest one being that you can't take huge risks, and I did with this language that I decided to really rev up and make it contemporary. I picked up folk from Kashmir, where I am from, where I belong,
Right.
uh, and the language was absolutely underrepresented in the mainstream. And when it came to folk music, people only thought Rajasthani folk or Punjabi or bunch of languages, but this language was not given any importance. And I really took that upon myself and kind of thought that, okay, I'm going to do something as, when people think of music, they think of it in commercial lines. They think of it
Sure.
as either pop music or as a certain era. For me, actually, these boundaries don't exist, but it's there in people's heads. So to take a language that's really tiny and then to really create an audience for it, and then to create music that eventually got viral or got hit, or was in eventually in films and OTT and all of that. That itself was a stereotype I was trying to break by creating a path for something new. And I think also being handling the business side of music on your own,
Right.
which is also unusual in our industry. And I really hope that changes, because there are more women who are gonna come forward as being a part of the music business. The more opportunities it will give to female artists. For a long time, festivals didn't program female musicians, saying that, oh, but how many are there? But there are so many phenomenal indie Indian musicians who are female,
Sure.
who just don't get the opportunity to be on that stage. That's only because, there is this Bandra Boys Club in people's head when they're doing things. And at the same time, there have been many conversations by many powerful, strong women in the industry who've spoken about it and raised it, and therefore people have had to take a notice. I think it's not just me. I think everybody really works on it together, and it really forms something bigger. I've tried to just do my thing. I mean, it's in a way probably broken a stereotype, but I've always just tried to stay true to who I am. And I think with the kind of music I'm going to make this year, it's going in some other direction altogether. So I think I'll never stop taking risks. I think that's what keeps me going. So if you call that breaking a stereotype, then maybe yeah, that's what I would say.
Of course, that does, take a checkbox, a huge one, in fact. Before we step into our last and fun segment, uh, we'd like to do a little thing that we just did at our office. Is you just go up to any random woman from the office, and just compliment them. It could be as little as, hey, I love what you're wearing, or I like your earrings, or I like your footwear, or I love the perfume that you're wearing. It could be literally anything. Now that I have two powerful women with me over here who've met for the first time, and Abha and Pia, would you like to give one such compliment to each other, which is
I have
being
15
recorded?
compliments for Pia, actually, not just one. I mean, I
Go for
absolutely
it.
love your style. I love your hair. I
Oh
love the
my God.
smile. I love your confidence. I love the fact that you have such a strong personality of your own that you have brought to the pictures that I've seen of you that have come alive because you are in it. And I think you're phenomenal from
Listen,
every
I mean, I think it's a mutual
way.
boat over here. I mean, I just love it that look at her, man, and look at her chasing her dreams and not wanting a child and then having one and feeling feminine energy in full blossom, motherhood, and talking about it and talking about mama guilt and saying that I have this passion and I have an agency and I'm making music, but I have a child and I have a partner and marriage is not easy. But look at you, you're like you're amazing and so inspiring and exactly like this. We need to join forces and inspire each other and push the message out in the world that together we can achieve a lot.
Thank you, Pia.
And
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
and break that stereotype that if I have a family, I can't work. Look at her, she's doing it. She's doing it.
I love this. This is going to be the introduction of my entire video, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. All right. So, as I mentioned about our last and fun segment, this is something that we're going to play with you. It's called Never Have I Ever. Since it is always about, since the segment is about what women don't want, so it's going to be a little reverse. I'm going to ask you questions, and you have to tell me if you've not done it, not if you've done it. Am I clear?
Yes.
Clear?
I
Shall we
have not.
start?
Okay,
Yeah, if
okay,
you've
got it.
not done it. All right. I've never felt guilty to say a no.
I have.
I have.
Wow. I've never bargained with a customer because so not a customer, but I've never bargained in a shop because they recognized me as a celeb.
Of course I have.
I bargain properly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the Indian gene. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And also, they look at you and then they decide to just multiply the price. I mean, that's not fair, yeah.
हाँ ये सेलिब्रिटी इसके पास बहुत पैसा होगा so I'm going to sell it.
Yeah,
हाँ
exactly. Then
मैं 100 का
Which
नहीं
is
500 का
actually like
बेचूंगी.
yeah.
it does happen. It's real.
Yeah.
Never have I ever been mansplained.
I have 100
I have.
times. So many. And every time I feel like just. But I've never like told someone which I'm going to do next time that please don't mansplain to me. That I need
You
to.
have to, we have to pinpoint. Yeah, we have to pinpoint that.
I've not got it in me to say that yet to someone. Like, please don't gaslight me. Please don't mansplain.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
not that. Like in
Yeah,
a
but
professional
Have,
setting.
have.
Personally, I have, but
Admit
professionally,
it. Have.
never have I ever felt the need to beat up another person because they were acting absolutely rubbish with their views. And by this, I mean women empowerment. I'm not talking about, okay, I didn't like this movie or I didn't like this song or something. But if they were confused between being a feminist and a feminazi, and never ever you wished that you wanted to slap that person.
No,
No, I would rather ignore them.
I'll just ignore. I'll not slap.
Yeah, I just ignore. No time.
Like she said, walk away. That's
Walk
what I
Walk
do.
away.
Yeah, walk away. Or just pretend that you can't hear because like your energy is only limited. And
Correct.
sometimes I think like
Not
we
worth your
should
energy.
overspend our energies in explaining things to people who don't deserve to
Yeah.
this knowledge. Yeah, you can go and seek it in 100 other ways. Like if you're not
Right.
open to receiving that from me right now, it's just going to sound like an argument. So you might as well go educate yourself, watch some films, figure out, like read the internet, see the people around you, and be more
Right.
aware of what is real and what's not. Why should I tell you how to be with a woman?
All right. Never have I ever turned around and checked out a woman twice because I loved what she's wearing or how she's carrying herself.
Of course I have.
100
We all
times.
All
have.
the time.
We all
I
have. And
woman
I'm not
crush
even
also.
guilty to do it. I mean, my husband,
I
even if he
woman
looks
crush.
around,
Totally.
yeah, if my husband looks around at that woman, I will also look at, and I would actually tell him,
Absolutely.
good choice. She's actually gorgeous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Same here, same here. And I make sure I even tell them. I really like it.
Right? I just did that yesterday, you know. I love what a
Yes, you
person is
must, bro.
wearing.
Like, if you like something about a woman, must please go tell them, because
Absolutely.
that will just make them feel like, this stupid concept of female jealousy and all that is stupid.
Hmm.
Like, just like, I think we are very happy within ourselves. Just go, like, tell the other woman that, you're beautiful, you're looking gorgeous, it's amazing. It's important. It's just so important. Like, why shouldn't you not compliment another woman?
Wow, this is amazing. I loved this conversation and I loved how seamless it was and how beautiful it was. Any messages to to all the women, regardless of their age, and something that you would want to tell them this Women's Day? I hate saying this Women's Day, but you know
So,
what I mean.
firstly, Abha, really amazing to meet you, and I hope I get to meet you in person.
Yes.
Shweta, thanks for this once again. It's always
I'm going to
fun to
follow you
be.
on
I love it.
Instagram and we
Yes,
will do
please.
this.
I will follow you right back. And happy Women's Day, all you feminine energy over there. Please celebrate yourselves every day, and be true to yourself. You are much more than what anybody tells you you are. Believe.
Lovely.
Wow.
Abha, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I just offshoot it from what Pia said. Be yourself, never be afraid to embrace who you really are, and help other women around you, and always trust your gut. It's always telling you the right thing.
Lovely. This was I had so much fun doing this, and once again I'd like to apologize for so much of confusion before the
No
interview and all.
worries. Such a
But
pleasure. I'm going to follow
Thank
you on
you.
Instagram. Let's be in
Me too,
touch.
me too.
Come to
I'm doing that
Bangalore
right
often.
away. Right away.
I love
Yes.
it. I love it. I love it.
If we
I
see you
will.
guys, I'm going to run.
Label
My
and
teacher's here.
male
Bye,
friendship.
Pia. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye,
Thank
guys. I also
you.
got to jump
Bye.
into a call. Bye, bye,
All
bye.
right.
Bye.
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 See you.
Radio City.